In this video, recent polls will show that the American voters love Doge. You're going to hear 5 minutes of the most jaw-dropping testimony exposing how the U.S. taxpayer dollars are being funneled to terrorist groups by USAID. Joe Scarborough blames Donald Trump for the price of eggs. Chris Cuomo dunks on AOC. Speaker Johnson absolutely shuts down Kaitlan Collins. And federal employees are losing their mind over Elon Musk's emails. Let's get into it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, you're going to watch a shocking, jaw-dropping testimony exposing how the U.S. taxpayer dollars are being used and being funneled to terrorist groups via USAID. This stuff gets worse and worse. $2.1 billion in taxpayer money has flowed into the Gaza Strip since October 7th. 90% of it, turns out, went to Hamas. We're going to listen to that. But first, a quick clip of a recent poll showing that the people of America are loving Doge. And you know what? There's a reason why. We voted for this shit. Let's get into it.
Brand new polling, which shows overwhelming support for the Doge cuts. When asked if the U.S. federal government debt is unsustainable, 67% say, heck yeah, it is. It's unsustainable. 33%, nah, man, we got this. But when asked if Doge is helping make major cuts in government expenditures, 60% say, heck yeah, it's helping. 40% say, no, it's not helping. And finally, when asked if Doge should have access to the sensitive data, remember that one? 58% say, heck yeah, give them the access, compared to 42% who say, no, don't give them the access.
Recognize the gentleman from Tennessee, Mr. Burchett, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chair Lady. Mr. Roman, are you aware that we are sending $40 million a week to the Taliban?
Yes, sir.
Can you name other instances of foreign aid going to terrorist organizations?
We have assisted al-Shabaab in Somalia. There's been instances of the Khamsi network in Sudan, Hamas, Islamic Jihad, Hezbollah, Kataib al-Hezbollah, Hayat Tahrir al-Shams in Syria. Dozens of terror organizations have received indirect assistance from U.S. foreign aid.
Could you elaborate a little bit on the mechanisms in place that are to stop foreign aid from going to terrorist groups, and why are they not working if we have any in place? Sure. And I would note that these are, you notice, these are terrorist weaponry. You see some AKs, SKSs, some snipers, some clips, some clip carriers probably made in China, and I believe these are small landmines here beside right there.
Let's use Gaza as our case study. $2.1 billion in American taxpayers' money to Gaza since October 7th when Hamas invaded southern Israel. USAID money was going in terms of an emergency use authorization to try to go to parties that USAID formerly had a relationship with in the Gaza Strip. They had to have been vetted by OFAC. They should have been vetted against the special designated terror list from the State Department and from other Treasury organizations. Waivers were granted because they said that there was an emergency use to have that money come in to Gaza, thereby jettisoning the usual typical screening procedures. As a result, 90% of aid that was going from the United States by way of its agents in Gaza ended up in Hamas-controlled areas. And this is ridiculous. Essentially, what the U.S. assistance to Gaza did was underwrite the ability for Hamas to survive until the ceasefire was just passed a few weeks ago. There was no strategic thought for it, and there was no screening.
Seems like the emergency might have been armed terrorists to kill civilians. Would that be accurate?
That's accurate, and even more than that, Samantha Powers, the administrator for USAID, was intent on having Israel not be able to defend itself.
To not be able to defend it.
Correct.
Mr. Primorak, is that correct? How do you say that? Primorak? I got Burchett, man. Nobody gets mine right, so don't worry about it. What is it, Primorak?
Perfect.
All right, thanks, brother. How did terrorists exploit our foreign aid loopholes?
Well, we have a lot of our international.
Can you pull your mic up? I'm sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
You have international NGOs and UN agencies actively lobby here in Washington, D.C. against vetting policies that would prevent it. I was the senior vetting officer at USAID, and what we did.
Did you say United Nations is doing this? The UN?
Sure. Everybody who's getting money lobbies here.
that they're lobbying against us. I'm sorry, Mr. Roman, you're...
There's actually someone who used to work for one of those lobbies, the largest NGO lobby, Interaction. One of our co-witnesses here worked for them from 2018 to 2023. USAID effectively self-funds its own external private lobby that then goes back to Congress and asks for more money for USAID.
So the taxpayers fund this lobbyist who's working against American interests.
Correct.
Possibly killing our allies and possibly Americans.
They bring together groups in Washington that overseas work with groups that kill Americans.
Yeah, I don't need a flow chart to show that. I appreciate it. Do you think USAID programs have been aligned with the national security interests of the U.S.?
No, they have not. They have actually helped China.
Mr. Roman?
No.
Okay. How do these programs compromise our national security, Mr. Premack?
They actually push China. They actually push much of the world towards China on the green energy agenda. They push people, ordinary people, billions of people towards China because of the resentment caused by our social reengineering.
Are we being lobbied by these pro-communist China groups currently?
Well, a lot of these countries don't even have to lobby because they get the money anyway, like South Africa.
Yeah, and in fact, these lobbyists have come to the House and have tried to kill legislation like H.R. 160, which was meant to increase transparency in USAID's funding of overseas organizations.
Is that a current piece of legislation?
That's from the last session.
And give me that number again.
H.R. 160.
And what does it do?
It was meant to give U.S. lawmakers the ability to have higher transparency in terror financing investigations aimed at scrutinizing extremist groups.
Mr. Premack?
We had a regulation before we left in the last administration that anybody who touches money in countries where there's terrorists, those names have to go through databases, terrorist databases. That was overturned by Biden.
Well, before we get to the next clip, here's a small win. Tulsi Gabbard says more than 100 intelligence officers fired for chat messages. This was a group chat, and turns out from reading it inside, they were discussing organizing gangbangs, enjoying piss fetishes. Not exactly 100% sure what that is. The cutting off of genitals. They were discussing the symbolism in Madame Bovary. Just absolutely degenerate stuff that should not be discussed in any intel agency's servers while you're at work. This is depraved stuff. Now let's get to Tim Burchett debunking this whole, oh, the Republicans are cutting Medicare, and Mike Johnson shutting down Kaitlan Collins. We're going to follow that up with Fredo himself, Chris Cuomo, taking a massive dunk on AOC, which is well-deserved. Let's get it.
I challenge you or anybody on your staff, do a word search for Medicaid on the resolution that we passed last night. You will not find it. That is not part of this equation, okay? We're talking about finding efficiencies in every program, but not cutting benefits for people who rightly deserve that. Work requirements for Medicaid. That is something that is public opinion polls almost 90%. You don't want able-bodied workers on a program that is intended, for example, for single mothers with 2 small children who's just trying to make it. That's what Medicaid is for, not for 29-year-old males sitting on their couches playing video games. We're going to find those guys and we're going to send them back to work. That's what everybody supports. That's what the Republicans are for. And by the way, we find dignity in our work. That's going to be good for everybody.
Hey, everybody, Tim Burchett. Sitting out here on the steps of the Capitol this morning, and I was thinking about some stuff that's going on. They're putting out that Republicans are cutting Medicare and the Republicans are cutting Medicaid, and all they're doing is trying to scare y'all. They got these Soros-backed groups that are pushing this stuff out. You got some paid agitators, of course, that are putting this word out in the news all over, state and local news and the federal, of course, the national news, not federal news. But anyway, it's just a lie. It is just a lie. All we're trying to do is cut out the waste, fraud, and abuse, and that will free up what I believe more dollars for the folks that need it. And the people that are behind the misinformation obviously have got a dog in this fight, and the dog is they're getting rich off of it. They're getting rich off the money that should be going to folks that are in need, and they are fighting it. Case in point, Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan was accused of cutting program in half one time, and all he was trying to do was reduce the delivery system. It cost some places $2 to deliver $1, And so in one instance, he cut $1 out of a program that cost $1 to get $1 to somebody. So he changed the delivery system. Well, he cut the program in half, and nothing further from the truth. Just cut the bureaucracy. And that's why they're pitching a fit, because that is their machine. That is their control over you. So don't believe the hype. We're not cutting Medicaid, Medicare. Nothing's further from the truth. Nobody is talking about that in the meeting except for in our meetings. And the only people talking about are the Democrats on the House floor, and they're talking, and they're puppets they've got out that are spreading misinformation to the general public. So anyway, thank y'all for sitting.
I just feel like AOC is the crystallization of this for me. And again, I'm not anti-AOC. I respect her pursuit of passion. I respect that she's built this big platform for herself. I think she's got a lot more reach than resonance, meaning I don't know that what she says matters as much as the number of her following. But I think she's kind of the poster boy right now for handling this the wrong way.
And why? What specifically has she done when you mention her handling it the wrong way?
She seems to be an apologist for the status quo, and everything with her is personal. Musk is dumb. Trump's an asshole, whatever it is. It's like like you're talking about somebody at a fraternity party, as opposed to being a leader and having a better way and showing that you have better ideas. Proving that Elon and Musk are imperfect is going to be easy. The problem is nobody thinks you're perfect either.
For the next election, if I could have an AOC Jasmine Crockett ticket, there's no way they win, and the content would be great. We would all have a grand old time dunking on these two idiots. Now, next clips you're going to watch. One of Adam Schiff, who accepted a preemptive pardon from a lawless president, a walking skin suit, one might say. Adam Schiff, who is also a criminal, and hopefully Cash Patel and Dan Bongino will look into that and have their way with him. Because let's remember this, he's only pardoned for the J6 stuff, the Russia collusion, all that other stuff. He didn't get a pardon for that. We're also going to have a little clip here of Joe Scarborough blaming Trump for the price of eggs in New York City. Never mind the fact that inflation has skyrocketed over the last 4 years with the Biden admin, and Trump's only been there a month. He's done more in a month than any president in history. But yet, let's blame this guy who just got into office for the price of eggs. These people are ridiculous. Let's go.
It's remarkable that they're voting against their own constituents' interests.
And I'm very happy to remind their constituents of that very fact, that their own elected leaders have betrayed them and everything that was promised. Remember how on day one of the Trump administration, prices are going to go down? You know what the cost of eggs in New York City are, if you can even find them?
You can't find them.
It went up 40% since Donald Trump was elected. So instead of going down, they're going up even higher. So people are starting to wake up. They're saying, wait a minute, this is not what I thought I was voting for.
Yeah.
And it's happening even sooner than I thought. I mean, literally in the first few months here. I thought this would take a little longer, but my God, they're self-destructing so fast.
West will not be making, in his words, security guarantees to Ukraine beyond very much, close quote. How do you interpret that?
Well, this is an effort to pressure Zelensky into giving up something for nothing. And I have to say this on top of the resolution at the United Nations where the United States sided with Russia, betrayed Ukraine, is one of the most shameful incidents in modern history. I think millions and millions and millions of Americans watching this not only disagree with the president, but maybe for the first time are just downright ashamed of the president because we have betrayed an ally. We've not only betrayed an ally, but we've betrayed our principles. Are we to be nothing except transactional now? We have no commitment to democracy, no commitment to our allies. It's all going to be about the money. That seems to be Donald Trump's orientation. But what a sad chapter of our history.
Now we're going to finish the video off here with some federal employees complaining about losing their jobs because of Elon Musk and the Doge team cleaning up. Listen, it's called having a boss. You're working and earning taxpayers' dollars. You should be accountable to the taxpayers. We should know what you're doing. But anywhere in the world, I think maybe if you even worked at a place, I've never worked in retail, but I'm guessing if you worked at Walmart, you'd have employee reviews. My first job out of university, I was a mechanical engineering student. My first job, every week I had to report to my bosses at the end of the week. Every week I had to do a performance report. Every week. Not every quarter or every half a year or every year. Every week. I had to do these reports because I was working on pretty sensitive material. These people are some weak people. Let's get it.
Responded to the email that we received as federal employees asking us to report 5 things that we accomplished last week. I'm not worried about my 5 things. I have plenty of things to report. I did plenty of work last week. But the feeling of just like absolute existential dread that I felt typing out a response to that email is something that I wish I could convey to everyone, because it felt like such a glimpse into the reality that they are trying to create. And it was terrifying. It felt like, you will do what I say or else. The email that we received did not say that failure to respond would be taken as a resignation, but the post on X did say that. And leadership at my agency is pretty much like, the email's authentic, but we don't know if the threat is or is not. We are going to respond, but kind of left it up to each of us to decide what to do. We have received more emails about all of the fucking bullshit going on with Doge and Elon and all of this federal employee stuff that like I've spent more time in the last couple of weeks navigating these emails, going to these town hall meetings, going to these other meetings, making sure that so that the leadership can break down what's happening and tell us how we need to respond and tell us what the fuck is going on and tell us, oh, you might lose your job because when your FTE runs, like there's so many things that they're having to convey to us. And so nothing that actually should normally be getting done and accomplished is being done or accomplished because we're all so busy fucking trying to navigate this hellscape that is happening. That is waste. That and the fact that the studies we work on, if we are worried that they might be considered, something that will lose funding, what's the point in working on it now? And has the last year, 2, 3 years of work we've done on it been for naught? Like, that's wasteful. Like, this whole thing is an exercise for them to show us how much power they have and how little we have, and how we must do what they say. And it's so insane because, again, who the fuck is Elon? Like, and how does he get to decide that he is king of the federal employees, king of HR at the Office of Personnel Management, and he gets to tell us, send this email or you're fired, like you lose your job? There's no rationale here that makes it make any sense outside of, look how much power I have and you better fucking listen or your livelihood is gone. The 2 million people that are gonna have to respond to this email, if they choose to, are they gonna go through 2 million emails to make sure that they were honest, to make sure that they were authentic, to make sure that the items listed out were relevant to the people's jobs, to make sure that the person, like, there's so many things that would have to happen for them to like actually legitimately go through these emails, and that's not going to happen because it just like, it can't happen, and again, like, it's just a flex. It's just, you need to know who's in charge, and this is one of the ways we're making you aware. And the feeling that I felt responding to that email was such a glimpse into a possible future here, a probable future here if we don't fucking do something about it. It felt so scary and so heartbreaking. It felt much like I would imagine living in a place like what I always imagined North Korea to be like, where the energy is, yes, master, your wish is my command. And again, these people that we're reporting to are people that have no expertise outside of like tech. They don't know anything about the health services that are operated through the federal system or about anything, really. And now half of the CDC workforce is gone, and the national park rangers are like largely gone. These are people who have worked their lives to have the careers they have, who have gone to school for this, who have built a career over years, decades. And now some man and his very ridiculously young tech bros are taking away the careers of lifelong federal employees, people who have devoted their lives to this country, to the government, who have taken the oath. We all take an oath to the Constitution. That's not just for military and for people in politics. That's for all federal employees. And people take it really seriously. Things get done. Things continue on, and things are happening because people are doing their jobs. There are people all over the place that are not doing their jobs everywhere all the time. That is certain. And that extends surely into people that work for the federal system. But everything that's happening is not because they don't think we do work. It's because they want to say, we have power over you. And that is a feeling that everybody should fear feeling when the people in charge of the place you live start to exercise that power in a way that there's no like real reason for outside of, you will know who's in charge here. Like, I am the captain now is the energy. That's terrifying. Like I said, this is a glimpse into a future that is really scary. And everything that's happening, this isn't, again, looking for fraud and waste.
Felt that we were providing support and care to humanity around the world because it's the right thing to do. And that made me feel proud no matter who was president. And now I don't know what to do. And I have cried every day. I think that that's normal. I have a 15-month-old at home, and I'm looking at him and thinking, well, what's this country that we're now living in?
We're doing work for the American public. We're here for safety. And we're patriots. We love our country. That's why we're taking these jobs that don't pay us in the private sector. I'm an accountant. I could get a private sector job tomorrow, but I care about this country and I want to be here.
All of our networks have been dismantled. You know, there's no jobs for us here in DC. I don't know if there are jobs for us, period. A lot of people's professional lives have just been completely ruined. And I want to know how the senators are going to support us. How are they going to give us resources? How are they going to make sure that people's families are taken care of? We're just witnessing the entire industry is going down. And what are the senators going to do about it?
To be honest, our entire industry is imploding because they are demolishing USAID in the wood chipper. A lot of the work that we did at USAID promotes soft power, promotes our image around the world for America. And if you don't invest in this, then you will pay a lot more in defense, and it puts everybody at risk.
Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash that thumbs up button for your boy. Hopefully we get those Epstein files today at some point. Maybe by the time this video is out to you guys. Hope you enjoyed the day. Leave a thumbs up on the video. If you're not yet subscribed and this is not your first time here, consider subscribing to the channel. Help it grow. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out, everybody.